For joining us today. This event is called Arriving in Newcastle, and for the next hour we will be answering your questions about arriving to Newcastle, such as accommodation, welcome weeks, registration, and everything around it. So joining me today, I have Siti, who is a PhD student, Emma, who is also a PhD student. We have Ronnie, the president of our students' union, who will be representing undergraduate students today, and Alex, who is our student integration officer and is our expert today. And my name is Monica, and I am a former international marketing student here at Newcastle University. So we will be answering questions that you have sent us in preparation for the event, but you can also ask us live questions on the chat that you can see now on YouTube, and our experts will be answering the questions for you. Right, so we can start with questions about accommodation that you have sent in for us. And the first question is how to find accommodation, and this question was asked by David. So David, if you are an undergraduate student and you have applied through clearing, you can still apply for university accommodation, and you can do it by Wednesday the 30th. However, for the rest of you who postgraduate students or undergraduate students who prefer to find private accommodation, you can still do it. And I would suggest looking in places such as NU Student Homes. This is our university managed accommodation partnership, and there are plenty of options around the city here. Some other tips maybe about finding accommodation, Emma?
Personally, I used letting agencies around Newcastle. There are loads of them, and you can find them even in very close proximity to Newcastle University. So if you wander around a little bit in the city centre, you'll find lots of letting agencies. For example, Bolton Robinson, which is very close to the Students' Union and the central part of the campus, and you can inquire there. In my case, I searched for a two-bed flat with a friend of mine, and while I was away, he did the viewings for the accommodation, and we decided together. But it was quite easy, and the prices are very affordable.
Yeah. Also, there are websites, especially for accommodation, such as Spare Room or Gumtree, and you can look there. You can look by private landlords or also agencies advertise there. And there's still plenty of accommodation in the city, and because it's a very student-friendly city, and there are plenty of new accommodation that was just built a year ago, especially from NU Student Homes. So you shouldn't worry. You can find plenty of accommodation still. We have another question from Ella, and she's asking, when is the move-in date for university accommodation, and when is it advisable to arrive? So Ella, the move-in date for university accommodation is 19th of September. Some accommodation, if you're moving in with family, this can be flexible, and you can arrange it directly with them. But in most cases, it will be 19th of September. And my personal advice is to be there on 19th of September, because you will still have a full week before your university lectures start to explore the city and take part in welcome activities. Another question from Victor is, which area is more suitable for me to rent a private accommodation, cheap and close to school? Ronnie, what do you think?
Well, it totally varies, and I absolutely echo what's already been said, which is have a look around and see a part of the city which really works for you. There tends to be a differential. So in the first year, there are university accommodation, which is set around the city and the city centre. But in second and third year, students do tend to move out into areas such as Jesmond and Heaton. So there is a big variation. In terms of being close to school, one of the great advantages of this university is that it's set in a city which is big enough to have a good time and explore everything, but also to get into university in a quick and convenient time frame. So in terms of where you live, just as long as it's in one of the areas where accommodation is available, everywhere's close to school and to university.
Completely agreed. We have a live question coming in now from Speed. What is Heaton like? Does anybody have experience of Heaton? No?
Well, I do have a few friends that do live in Heaton. I think they really like Heaton, and I think what it offers is perhaps a cheaper alternative to Jesmond, which is a little bit more expensive. Traditionally, it's been a bit more of an upmarket area, Jesmond. So it offers a really good opportunity to particularly second and third year students, and of course postgraduates, to go somewhere which is a little bit more affordable. So there's a bit more money left for the weekly shop.
Yeah, I agree. I've never lived in Heaton, but I was looking at properties around it at some point, and it is a very nice area. You have quite a few supermarkets around as well, to do your shopping cheaper, and there are plenty of coffee shops. And I think it is becoming a very hip area of Newcastle. I personally live in Sandyford, and Emma as well, I know, is living in Sandyford right now.
I was just about to mention that. Yeah. It's an area in between Jesmond and Heaton, and it's quite quiet and small area, but still lively enough. And I'm really happy living there. And yes, I do recommend it to anyone.
It is again more affordable than Jesmond, and my flat is only a 15-minute walk to university, so I highly recommend it as well. And there is also a question of the idea about the accommodation price range. So it can really vary very much. It can vary from £300 a month to even £700 a month if you want to live in one of the more luxurious accommodations. But yes, so whatever your budget is, I'm sure you'll find something in Newcastle. It's one of the most affordable cities in the UK for students, especially when it comes to accommodation. So, even if you have very little money to spare, you should be fine and find something here. We also, if you want to live outside of the city, that is no problem either, because we have great transportation links. We have metro, and you can travel everywhere by metro, basically. So if you want to live further out and save even more, you can just commute to university by metro.
I actually live on the other side of the Tyne in Gateshead, and I actually walk to work, and it takes about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So yeah, it's a very small, compact area.
Yeah. Now, we have a question from Kieran about Jesmond. So following up from that, does anybody live in Jesmond or has?
I do currently live in Jesmond. I could wax lyrical about Jesmond for hours. Jesmond is a really great, vibrant area. First of all, it's incredibly beautiful. It's got the Dean, and it's just a generally lovely place to live. There are so many supermarkets and bars and places to go to basically hang out with your friends. Everything you need is in such a small radius, and certainly having visited friends at other universities, it's a massive advantage to have all of those things in such a small area. So I thoroughly recommend Jesmond. Also, the price ranges in Jesmond, sometimes there's a misconception that everything in Jesmond is incredibly expensive, and I don't think that's necessarily true. There's a big price range in terms of what's available in Jesmond, so I certainly wouldn't feel as if you may be priced out of Jesmond, because there are some very affordable properties there.
Kieran is also wondering about independent coffee scene.
The independent coffee scene. Well, you probably wouldn't be a fan of the fact that I say that I go to Starbucks every day in Jesmond. But there are absolutely some small independent coffee shops, especially along Acorn Road, which is really one of my favourite places, and it's next to Greg's as well. So I mean, there's a massive advantage there. But no, there is a very big independent coffee scene, and actually a really good place to get away if you want to do some work in a different atmosphere. Sometimes the library can be a little bit claustrophobic, so actually it's a really great place to go and do some work and just generally chill out.
Yeah, I want to mention, I don't drink coffee really, but we have also great tea scene in Newcastle. We have very famous coffee shop called Quilliam Brothers that is just by university, very affordable as well, and it is a great place for a date, for example. Next, we have a question about cost of living for a postgraduate from Nadine. City, what's your experience?
Well, I mean, I can't imagine it being any different from undergrads if you're living in private accommodation. So again, like you said, it could range from about £3,000 a year to £11,000 a year, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
I personally live in the city centre, and I pay about £7,000 a year. But that's just because of the location and everything's all in. So.
And what about just besides accommodation, your day-to-day cost of living?
I would say around 11,000 to 12,000 in total. For
in total?
Yeah, including accommodation.
Yeah.
again, it depends on how you live. I cook a lot, but I spend a lot of money in the supermarket buying vegetables and stuff like that. So again, it's quite balanced going out for food and cooking.
Mm-hmm. I agree. You know, you can spend just to give you like a monthly estimate. I think you can survive on say £200 a month. Or survive. You don't even need to survive. No, it's actually quite a lot of money in Newcastle, so it will get you places. You know, it is a very student-friendly city, so there are a lot of bars, coffee shops, pubs, restaurants that cater to students, and they have great discounts for students. As well as, you know, around the city centre, there are some supermarkets. We also have Granger Market in town, which is a fresh produce market, and you can go and get your food shop there quite cheaply and very fresh, nice food. So yeah, you can live for very little here, in fact. And we have another question that was asked by several students, again about accommodation. It's when will we get information about which accommodation accepted your application? So the answer to that is that you should get it very soon, really, because our accommodation service is working at it right now and they're very busy. So be patient. But as a rule of thumb, you should get your accommodation offer within a week of making your offer unconditional firm. So if you've sent all the documents through, if your offer has been made unconditional firm, then you should receive your offer of accommodation within 1 week. So just be patient. And a question about also accommodation and opening bank accounts from Sarah. Sarah is asking, to open a bank account, I need a proof of address, but I'm in a private house share. How can I get it? So again, university helps with that by providing you something called banking letter. So if you go to Kingsgate, so this is our student services building, and floor 2 we have student services, and you go there and you should be able to obtain something called banking letter, which will have your address on it, and with this you can go with this and a passport, you can go to bank, and that should suffice you to open a bank account. Right, so now let's move into a different topic. We can talk about jobs and career, because several students were wondering about that as well. And first question is from Shofia, and it is it easy to get a part-time job as a student in Newcastle? And I think a lot of us will have a lot to say about that. How about Emma?
Yeah, I do have a lot to say. First of all, the university assists students with searching for a job, a part-time job especially. There's a big database from the career service where you can find vacancies all year round, varying from full-time down to Newcastle work experience. The latter is something I've done. I've done 2 work experience schemes so far, and both of them were during term time. It was a great experience, and the money I got really helped me get some pocket money. But also I've worked as a demonstrator and invigilator for different schools, and that also has given me enough experience for teaching, working with young people, which was really precious and really well paid compared to other jobs. So look around, visit the career service. They are able to assist you with any of the inquiries you might have.
And if you join things like JobSoc, then you can do things like help me at the airport with international welcome and welcome the new students to the uni.
Ronnie, what's your experience with part-time jobs here?
Well, I mean, I've taken part in a bit of volunteering, which is run by the Students' Union, but I suppose that's a little bit different. I mean, the only thing I would really add to that, because it's all sort of been covered, is it's really convenient, JobSoc, and actually getting work experience through the union, because you can tailor it around your studies, especially at undergraduate level, where students are often so busy. You can tailor the hours to what works for you, which for a lot of employers it doesn't necessarily happen. But also in terms of maybe if you have a job somewhere else in the country and it's a large company, you can go to a local branch in Newcastle and get a job there. And one of the benefits of the city is that the city centre is obviously very close to the university, which means that you can fit in shifts in between your studies. So there is a huge opportunity to work on the side as well as complete your degree and also have a good time, which is, of course, what our union is here to help you achieve.
Yeah, I can only add on top of that I've personally also done a few part-time jobs when I was a student here. One of the schemes that I really recommend is Newcastle Work Experience, and this is also provided by our career service. And these are short, around 3-month internships, and they're very different ones. We have a lot of business internships, for example. I was studying marketing, so I did one internship in marketing and one as an events assistant. And these are organized with local companies, and you get a bursary for doing that. So it is tax-free, and you can totally cater it around your studies, and it is very flexible, and also gives you great experience to put on your CV. Yeah, Siti?
So just remember that if you're an international student, if you're on a Tier 4 visa, when you're looking for a job, you can only work for 20 hours a week.
Yes.
So there's that limit. Just keep that in mind when you're looking for a job.
Yes, that is true. So all European students and British students, they can work however many hours they want, but international students can only work 20 hours a week. Having said that, as a student, you really wouldn't want to work more than that, because you still have classes to focus on and lectures and readings to do. So if you work more than 20 hours a week, you might be in a bit of a trouble there.
Can I add here the fact that the university offers different fares to find job when you need it. So look around, search the website of the university to see when these will take place, and make sure you attend.
Yeah. In fact, there is a job fair.
Yes, absolutely. So we also run a job fair, which is really important to build the links and the connections between students and employers, which is really useful if you want to make contacts and potentially get work experience in the future. But then we also have a job fair for jobs up here and opportunities up here to make a little bit of extra money.
Yes, and that will be on 10th and 11th of October, and it's organized by Students' Union, and will be in Students' Union in the venue there. And there will be, I've attended these job fairs, and they were really good, and there were a lot of, for example, local businesses such as just bars and restaurants advertising jobs, because we do have a lot of bars and restaurants in Newcastle, and a lot of students do choose to work there to earn a bit of extra money. So there will be possibilities everywhere where you look, really. And also, I want to mention, if you want to, improve your employability, there's something like employability modules organized by our career service. And these are modules that you can take during your degree to add on top of your degree. And they're worth 20 credits. And they range from how to become more entrepreneurial and open your own business, because we have a great program with our career service that is called Rise Up. And it helps you create and open your own business. In fact, we've had a very successful story from our students recently who've opened their own business. It is a beverage business, and now they're starting to sell all over UK, and even their product has been just featured in Harrods. So we have great success stories, and our career service can help you with opening your own business if you want to. Right, so now let's move on to arriving and different activities that we have around that, organized by Students' Union and University. And first question is from Robert, and it is about, how do you join societies? Ronnie, could you?
Well, it's a great idea and it's a great question, so thank you, Robert. In terms of joining societies, there are a number of different ways in which you can do it, and you can also do it throughout the year. The easiest, and I suppose the first way to do it, is to attend Freshers' Fair, which is running for the first 3 days of Freshers' Week, and there will be a whole swathe of different societies, and they will have tables and basically show you what's on offer and what their society does. After that, all you have to do is register your details, and then there's a process through which you may have to pay a membership fee, and then you are part of that society. But then also, if you miss the boat in terms of Freshers' Week, it's very, very easy to join a society on the NUSU website. There are links to every single society, and there are over 190 of them, and there are links there through which you can register online. But also, if there's a society which you think isn't existing, you can create your own society, and all that needs to happen is you need to find 14 other like-minded people and have 15 people to ratify your own society. So there's a huge amount of opportunity with societies at Newcastle University Students' Union, and I thoroughly recommend that you get involved.
Absolutely. Maybe we can share some of our experience of joining societies. Have you been a part of any societies?
I was, when I was in my first year here as a master's student, I did join the Greek Society because I'm Greek, and it was a great way to meet other Greek people, get some advice about where to find good Greek food, good vegetables, things like that. And also I joined the dance society, so the Latin Dance Society, which was really good, and it was quite convenient the time that they had their classes, so I was able to attend these, unlike some different societies that I couldn't attend. I could find an alternative, I did, and I really enjoyed it, so I definitely recommend it. As a PhD student now, it's quite more difficult to engage with all the activities, but you can still engage with some of them and meet new people during your degree, so feel free to have a look around.
Satine, are you part of any
Well,
society?
yeah, I mean, like, for me, I'm Singaporean, so I joined Singapore Society, and I'm Muslim, so I joined the Islamic Society. It's just a nice way to meet people of like with similar interests and values as you. So
Yeah. When I was studying, I was a part of two societies. It was Debating Society and International Development Society, and I found them great. Especially Debating Society, we had sessions every week where we could debate, and then also societies also are about socializing. So after debating each week, we would go for a social. So we would go maybe to a pub or to a park and just chat. So it was a great way to meet people, great way to make friends, and also to enjoy whichever activities you're interested in. And then next question about arriving is from Eleanor, and she's asking, when we arrive in Newcastle, where's the first place we should head to? Alex, do you have any idea on that?
I would say make sure you go to your accommodation first, get all of that sort of thing out of the way, complete your registration, and then I guess fun things to do.
Yeah.
There are so many events during early arrivals and during Freshers Week, so there'll be tours around the city, there'll be campus tours, there'll be opportunities to go and do fun things like bowling, maybe have a look at the Granger Market. That is a really good place to go and shop, and a nice cheap place to go and get vegetables. So go and check out those places first. But the city's really quite compact. You can walk across it in about 20 minutes. You could go and look at St James's Park, which is obviously our football stadium, and it's really just a stone's throw from the university. But I would recommend walking around the city, getting to know it. We've got all of the usual amenities. We've got art galleries, we've got cinemas, we've got an independent cinema, theatres, any sort of arts that you're into, we'll have that in Newcastle. And I think it's probably best to find out about some of those things before you get really busy with lectures.
Yeah.
Do them first so you know which things you want to go back to.
Yeah, great. And also about arriving, and also a question to Alex.
Okay.
Heaton is asking, is there any shuttle from Newcastle Airport to University?
Yes, so during International Welcome, we run a meet and greet service from the airport. So we run that from Tuesday the 19th of September to Thursday the 21st of September. And we have different opening times on the different days. The first 2 days we're sort of open from 8:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. It's a free service, but you do need to register for it. So what we will have there are people to meet you at the airport, to get you onto the correct buses, to take you either to the university campus or to university halls or managed accommodation. You need to go onto the pre-arrival section of the airport, of the website, and sign up there. We've got a booking form where you let us know your flight details, and that just helps us with planning how many coaches we'll need. You get a nice welcome pack full of a few snacks to kind of make you feel a bit better after a long journey, and all the information you're going to need about International Welcome, the early arrivals week and freshers.
Great, thank you. And Taufik is wondering about different forms of transport from the airport. So he was asking in particular about taxi and how much it costs from the airport.
Yeah, so if you arrive outside of our welcome times with the meet and greet service, taxis to the city centre, you're sort of talking £10 to £15. They have taxi ranks just directly outside of the airport, or they also have a desk in the airport where they can call and book you on, where they would let the driver know where you're going, etc. But yes, generally £10 to £15. If you're not used to the Geordie accent, you might just want to prepare yourself for Geordie taxi drivers. They'll be lovely and friendly, but they might have quite strong accents. So just be prepared for that. And I'll just mention about the metro as well. So we have a mini version of London's Tube in Newcastle, and that runs from the airport right to the centre of town. The closest stop to the university is Haymarket, and you can get a single journey for under £3. So that's a really cheap way to get into town. Have a look on the metro map. They run until relatively late at night, but sort of post 11 o'clock, you are looking at a taxi.
Yeah, so there are plenty of ways to get from the airport. It's not far from the city. Also, one person, Alessia, was wondering about arriving from Edinburgh Airport, and is it easy to get a train to Newcastle station? Yes, Alessia, it is very easy. It takes only about 1.5 hours to get on the train from Edinburgh to Newcastle, and the prices start at £10 or £15. So it's not a costly way of transportation. And also from Edinburgh Airport, there's a shuttle, Airlink, I believe it's called Airlink bus, that takes you within 30 minutes to the train station, and then from the station 1.5 hours. So you're looking at 2 hours and you're in Newcastle. So it's very easy. And also, Caitlin was wondering, what is the latest date you can arrive? Alex.
Okay, the last day of registration is the 26th of September. We recommend that you are absolutely there before then. But what I would say is, if you arrive that late, you are going to miss all of the induction and the kind of welcome that you will get. Those welcome weeks are a brilliant opportunity to make friends, to meet people, to get settled in before your course really starts. So while you can arrive up till then, we would really recommend that you don't leave it that late. Obviously, for visa reasons or other reasons, it may not be possible to come before then. But if at all possible, we really say that you should be here prior to that to make the most of those welcomes and inductions.
Great, thank you. And that leads me on to the next topic, which is exactly Welcome Week activities. And Astari asked the first question here, and she's wondering if there are any welcoming events for new international students. Ronnie.
Well, there absolutely are, and our early arrivals week is absolutely very, very highly regarded, and we offer a number of different activities which accommodate a number of different interests. So that starts the week before Freshers Week, and we thoroughly recommend any international student or indeed domestic student who's perhaps local or postgraduate to attend. We'll be doing activities such as bowling, going out for food, and actually really often integrating and showing off British culture, because it is something we have a lot of up here. So we absolutely recommend international students to arrive for early arrivals week, and there are huge opportunities for internationals to get involved with the Students' Union early on.
Great, thank you. Because yes, we have a few Welcome Week activities going on that might be a bit confusing for students, because we have early arrivals week, we have Freshers Week, we have induction week, postgraduate welcome week, and international welcome week. Alex, could you please maybe try to explain the difference between
no
these?
problem. Okay, so international welcome is, as it sounds, it's mainly for international students, but that includes European students. The international welcome side of things are the pick up from the airport and a range of induction sessions which really help you to settle in and explain more about the university and the city, and kind of bring you up to date with any other things that you might need to know about. Early arrivals is linked to international welcome. It happens at the same time, so that is the week of it starts on the 19th of September. Early arrivals is for anybody, anyone who's here in campus before Freshers Week, but it is open to all students. There's a postgraduate section, with lots of different activities aimed at different groups. That's followed by freshers and induction. So the induction takes place in your schools, and that is an introduction to what's going to happen, the format that your course will take place, introductions to lecturers, and that is happening at the same time as Freshers Week. For some courses, there will actually be teaching that week, but for the majority of people, it will mainly be induction activities. It is a bit confusing. Don't be put off by that. Have a look at all the different programmes on the website. Have I covered all of the different areas that you're asking about there, Monica?
Yes, I think so. If you could just reiterate what are the dates for different weeks, that would be great.
Okay, so early arrivals and international welcome are the week of the 18th of September, with the majority of activities starting on the 19th, because that's the first day you can get into accommodation. Freshers Week begins at the weekend immediately following that. So that is the 23rd of September. Obviously, home students will then be starting to move into their accommodation that weekend. So there are a lot of social activities going on campus and all around the city. And that will last for a week. And that is at the same time as all of the induction. And for some unlucky people, the first week of teaching.
Well, I hope that clears things up a bit. And then another question from Alexa is, how do I sign up for International Week activities or any sort of Welcome Week activities? Ronnie, maybe you could answer that.
Yeah, so in terms of signing up for these events, all you need to do is contact the Students' Union and express your interests, and then we will absolutely be able to accommodate that. So we absolutely very much look forward to anyone who wants to get involved in the International Welcome Week. Obviously, we're very accommodating to that. So no, we absolutely look forward to hearing anyone that wants to get involved, and there's a huge array of things on offer during that week.
Can I just add a point there that for any of the international induction sessions, you don't have to book for those in advance. You can actually just turn up. You can have a look at the programme online and look at which talks you're most interested in. For the early arrival social activities, a lot of those events you would need to book in advance. So if you go on to the Student Union website, which is www.nusu.co.uk, and then /early arrivals, you can actually book for the events there.
Great, thank you. And then a question about Freshers Week in particular from Alicia. She's asking, what are typically the most popular Freshers events both during the day and in the evening? I'll ask Ronnie.
Yeah, so I mean, during the day, there's a vast array of Freshers events. We have barbecues, we have paintballing, we have things by the beach, for example. So we've got a huge amount of things. So all you need to do during the daytime is go outside the Students' Union, and there is a massive number of Freshers crew who will direct you and advertise and basically talk to you about what the event entails. So during the daytime, there is absolutely masses to do. One of my favourite things to do was to go and see the Newcastle United football stadium, St James's Park, and that was brilliant. And because of the Freshers wristband, which you can now buy, which is now active to buy, it's all for free. It's all included on the wristband, so I thoroughly recommend that you get involved with that. In terms of the evening activities, there are evening activities every single day of Freshers Week, and there is a variation between non-drinking and perhaps other nighttime activities, which would be predominantly drinking based. But I mean, I think the thing to get across here is that 95% of the activities that we do run during Freshers Week are non-alcohol based, and we've had a massive positive feedback over the last few years about Freshers Week, with 88% of students agreeing that it was a positive experience, which helped people, get to know their friends and get to know the people around them. Absolutely.
And on that note, actually, we've just had a question about the cost of the wristband for Freshers Week. Ronnie, if you know that.
I believe it's £45. So I mean, it is affordable, but actually it is great value for money. In terms of what you get throughout the entire week, the wristband offers you so much, and just as long as you show it, and just as long as it remains on your wrist, you're eligible to do so much. So that could be going to the gate for an evening activity, or that could be going to St James's Park, or even collecting a free burger at the barbecue. So there is a vast array of things, and once you've bought the wristband, the world is your oyster.
Exactly. And now maybe we can ask some of our students about their experiences of attending Welcome Week activities. City, did you take part in any?
Well, I attended the International Student Welcome Week as well as my own faculty induction. And I absolutely loved the International Student Welcome Week because on the first day when I got here, I immediately got to my accommodation, and then after that, I immediately got registered, and then I got my bank account, and you know, there's like a list of there's a checklist that they give you, and I was able to check off everything, and I was able to get all of my admin stuff done in a day, and it was fantastic. So, and then after that, I also went for talks held by the international students department. So it was like getting to know the city, talks about Geordie's language, you know, the Geordie slang, and a lot of different things. And it was just a very fun week, and a great week to get to know the city as well as the university itself. So yeah.
Emma, what about you?
So I was a bit fortunate when I first arrived at Newcastle because I was sick. So I thought buying the Freshers Week wristband wasn't a great idea because I wouldn't be able to attend most of the things that they were scheduled. But what I did was I attended the Give It a Go program from the Students' Union, which is a very flexible program that you can book each activity separately, and the cost is minimal, from free, absolutely free of charge, to £2 to £3. So I attended the tour of the city, a campus tour, things like that, just to get me around a little bit. But I'm one of these people that actually love discovering things by myself. So I did lots of research by myself, and I walked around the city. I met loads of people the first 2-3 days. So we kind of had coffees around, visited the quayside, which was amazing. So there is an alternative if you're not kind of fan of Freshers Week, but obviously if you really need to get around the city and have the whole experience of a freshers, definitely go for the wristband. I did regret it, to be honest. So I would do it like that if the situation was different. But also let me mention the Postgraduate Welcome Week as well. When I started my PhD after being a master's student, after finishing my master's, I actually took part as a representative in the Postgraduate Welcome Week, to let other people know what the representatives of the university, which are run again, which are supported by the Students' Union, are actually doing, and how they can support you in your degree and make your experience even better. So I talked to some people there, and I know very well that the program was full of activities, full of things to do, full of ways of getting to know how the university works and what's out there for you. So again, if you're a postgraduate student, make sure you attend some of these activities.
Yes, in fact, I attended a lot of these activities. I took part in many activities from Postgraduate Welcome Week and early arrivals that were mentioned before. And the things that I did, for example, were really interesting because there are a lot of things to see around Newcastle as well. The city itself was great, but there are so many like historical sites, and there's coast, seaside, so a lot to see around Newcastle. And these Welcome Weeks are a great opportunity to get to some of these places really cheaply because Students' Union rents a bus to get you there, whereas on your own it would be more difficult. You would have to probably rent a car. So we went to Holy Island, which is beautiful island with Lindisfarne monastery and ruins, and that was really lovely, as well as to Whitby, which is on the coast. It's a beautiful coastal city, just an hour or hour and a half outside of Newcastle. So these were really good experiences. And in the city, I went to things such as pub crawl, to see a lot of local pubs, and also comedy night. We have a comedy club here with great stand-up comedy, so that was a lot of laughs. And just take part in as many activities as you can because it's absolutely brilliant. And on that note, we also have a question from Thais about Freshers Week again. So he's saying that Fresher Week sounds to him more like an undergraduate-oriented event, and he's asking if it's as equally attended by postgraduate students. Ronnie.
So what we find is about actually 6% of those that participate in Freshers Week activities are postgraduates, and when that's combined with 17% being international and students, actually that makes up a huge amount of non sort of local students actually attending Freshers Week. I would absolutely invite postgraduates and international students to our Freshers Week, because we have nearly 24,000 daytime activities. I mean, people participating in these activities. So the variation is so large and so wide that actually there will be something for everyone. In terms of evening activities, I know that that's possibly a worry for perhaps mature students or postgraduate students, maybe feeling as if it's not really their scene. But again, I would say that there are so many alternative activities during Freshers Week that shouldn't be a worry as well, because there is, again, as I say, something for everyone, and it's a hugely enjoyable week. We've had lots of testimonials from postgraduate students saying, I was hesitant about buying a wristband, but I did it, and I'm really glad I did, because actually the variation of activities and the ability to see the city and see what Newcastle University is all about was achieved by getting that wristband and taking part in all of these welcome events.
Great, thank you. And somebody was wondering when will the schedule be up of what's happening in the Freshers Week? And this is already up.
It's already up.
Yeah.
It's already up, and there's a very, very detailed itinerary of what's going on the Freshers Week website, so I thoroughly recommend that you go to that, www.newsufreshers.co.uk. It's a really, really fantastic website, and we've got some amazing acts as well, very, very well known. We have Chris Ramsey, the comedian, who's just recently confirmed that he will be taking part in our Freshers Week. So it's a massive attraction for the city, and it's really one of the things that NUSU are incredibly proud of, because it offers such a wide variation of activities, whilst just giving students the experience and the opportunity to meet each other and make friends for life.
Great. And on that, there's another question about wristband. Somebody, Alexandra, is wondering whether they can only buy it online or whether they can buy it at NUSU as well.
Well, there's a very, very limited window to go and buy them here, and it does vary as to whether or not you pay by cash or card. What we would say as NUSU is we would thoroughly recommend that you go and buy it online, just to ensure that you can have it with you and that you can definitely collect it and definitely be eligible for all events, because there could be a point at which we sell out these wristbands. Indeed, our sales have been really good this year, so we would hate for anyone to miss out on the wristband if they have to wait until they come to Newcastle. So we thoroughly recommend to purchase it now online.
Yeah, it is selling quick. Yeah, that is true. And Jessica is wondering, do you have to buy wristband, or can you pay for individual events that are part of Freshers Week?
No, the wristband will encompass everything, but in order to make the whole thing work, we would actually need the wristband to be bought. So again, I would thoroughly recommend it, because not to scaremonger, but there could be a situation in which your friends or a group of people may be doing something, and by buying the wristband, everyone's all in the same boat. So we think that's a sensible and more fair approach to take. So again, thoroughly recommend that you go online and purchase it very soon.
Great. And now we have another question from Francisca about what are the tips for first few days in Newcastle. And I think we've already covered that a bit, but just to reiterate, first few days in Newcastle, just explore. Use your time wisely before you are snowed under with work that you are sure to get into very quickly. So before the lectures start, just go around the city, try to attend all these welcome activities, make friends, explore what's out there. We have beautiful quayside with all the bridges. That is actually right behind me on the poster here. You can see that's our quayside. So the weather might be still quite nice. So just go around the city and explore. Everything is walking distance really here. So just enjoy it. Basically, that would be my tip, at least. I think others would agree.
Definitely.
I think also one thing that a lot of students do look for is to join sports teams, and that's again incredibly easy. At the Freshers Fair, there will be an assortment of different different sports teams offering different things. But also, if you don't want to play at the elite level of sports, there are a vast swathe of opportunities to join intramural or within campus sports teams, which have been a great source of fun for me over my time here. So again, sports is a massive thing up here, so thoroughly recommend getting involved in that as well.
Great, thank you. And now we have a bit of a different question from Moritz. Moritz is wondering, when are the lectures starting? Alex, could you answer that?
Okay, so it will depend on which course you're doing. I would say that you should be here for the induction for your course. So again, that's the week of the 25th of September. But then teaching for other people will start on the 4th. So it depends on your course. I would check with your school. If you are doing something like medicine, obviously that can have an earlier start. So just make sure that you are here for the week of the 25th of September so that you can attend all of the induction activities. But I would say real lectures would probably begin on the 4th of September.
Yeah, and then there's a question from Ella. She's asking, when will I receive my reading list and timetable? So your timetable you should receive on 4th or by 4th of September.
We're saying September and we mean October. It's my fault.
October. By 4th October. So in your first week of lectures, you will receive your timetable for sure. And also about your reading list. So reading list you can sort of see already now. If you go on the course page on our website and you'll go to modules tab and click through to all the modules, you can see the recommended readings for all these modules and read more about these modules. However, what's there, it won't be necessarily what your lectures will require. So I recommend from personal experience, before you go ahead and buy plenty of textbooks, just to wait for induction week. When you have the first lecture of a given module, you will surely be told exactly what is the reading list for this particular module and where you can get the textbook. And in most cases, you shouldn't really need to buy many textbooks. I think others will agree with me that there are plenty of textbooks in university libraries. There's also online provision of textbooks, so most you can just get by using our library, and there is no real need to buy textbooks, I think. And then there's another question from Jonanit, and they're wondering if how really to settle in, and because they don't know really anybody in the UK or university, and what will help them settle in Newcastle. Ronnie?
I really think that there are so many people asking exactly the same question as you, and the benefit of that is that everyone else is going to want to know each other. Something that really struck me when I just started, which is 3 years ago, was just the way in which everyone was so willing to engage with each other, across a number of different backgrounds and everything, just because people want to make friends. And it's so easy. But of course, that's what our early arrivals week, our freshers week, our postgraduate week, that's what it's all there for. It's to create the environment in order for people to communicate, to get on and to make friends. But again, things like the Freshers' Fair, joining societies, all doing that and making sure that you're not spending too much time maybe in your room, actually make sure that you have all of the opportunities to meet people, to engage, and to have a really good time.
Exactly.
I would just say that even using the meet and greet service from the airport means that you meet people before you've even arrived at the campus. You'll chat to them on the buses, you'll chat to them in the airport on the way to the buses. And I just think you put yourself out there. It's a week or a couple of weeks where everybody is in the same situation. Most people don't know anyone. So even if that's not in your normal character, speak to people. It's a great opportunity to make friends before people have settled into friendship groups when it becomes a bit harder.
And actually, one of the very small tips that I received, which is a very good one, is leave your door open at the beginning of when you first get in. Leave your door open, prop it open. The security services probably might tell me off for that. But leave the door open slightly when you're in your room. So it means that if people are walking by, you can say hello and actually meet the people on your floor.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget that you're also meeting your new classmates and your new schoolmates. So make friends with them as well, because they're also new to the city. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, in the induction week, I think on most courses there will be like a little reception, a little lunch, or something to get you to know your fellow students. It won't be just lectures, lectures, lectures. First, they actually really want to give you the opportunity to meet everybody you're studying with. So I don't know, Emma, is it difficult to make friends in Newcastle?
Not really.
Exactly.
In my first day, I actually met my flatmates, my mates in the student accommodation where I lived in. It was quite easy because we actually arrived together. So they took the bus from the train station, near the train station from the city centre, and we actually met in the bus because we asked the same question to the driver. So it was quite easy to meet other people because everyone has the same need during that time. And also when you arrive, you actually share information with each other. So you might ask people to give you some information about something very specific, and you might just do the same for them. So feel free to chat to people, to ask questions. Everybody's really friendly, and the city is full of international students anyway. So you definitely will find people that actually want to know more about you and maybe become friends with them. It's very, very easy.
Yeah, exactly. Really easy to make friends here. Trust us on that. And then another question from Mohammed about registration. He's wondering, what do I need to prepare for the registration day, and when does the registration open? Alex?
Okay, so registration, as we've mentioned, opens on the 19th of September. You can't do registration before then. The documents that you'll need to bring, so you will get an email in the next week or so, next few weeks, which will tell you about the registration process and give you steps to follow to complete the initial process. You need to do that before you get here, but don't worry, it's really easy. There's a step-by-step guide. Once you've done that, you will need to print those documents and bring them with you, and you'll also need to bring ID to have that checked as well. Some international students will also need to pick up a biometric residence permit. That is something you will know about and will have been told about during the visa process. So if it doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it, but you will need to bring those documents with you to registration. It's a really simple process. If you have a look at the email, it will set it out for you step by step. Don't be worrying about it. And then when you get to the university campus, you will register. We also advise you to join a GP or doctor, and you can do that as part of the registration process. And then the final step will be you will get your smart card. What you will need to do as well is pay tuition fees in advance if that applies to you as well. And then that is it. It's a really simple, easy process that you'll be guided through on campus.
Sorry, and just for those receiving their student loan as well, for that to go through, there would have to be you would have to swipe your card to validate your existence at Newcastle.
Yes, and another question from Felix. He is wondering, how long are the libraries open for? So we have 4 libraries at Newcastle University, 2 that are open for all students. There's Robinson Library, which is our main library, and this one is open 24/7. So for all of you that are night owls and love to study all day, at night, all day, all night, the option is there for you. And then we have another library that opened just recently. It's Marjorie Library Rooms, and this is right behind the Robinson Library, and this is open from 8:30 until midnight. And however, there are no books in there. So this is a library, it's study rooms, mainly with study spaces for you. So there are plenty of PCs and just study spaces to go and write your papers and get away from the house. And it's very nice and light in there. And then we have also law library and medical library for students of these faculties. And then another question from Jeffrey about English courses. So Jeffrey is wondering if there are any English courses after September. Alex, maybe you could answer that.
Okay, I think this is one we got in advance, and this is specifically about master's degrees.
Yes.
So it will depend on which faculty you're in. They will provide extra skills courses, but you would really need to check that with the faculty. However, we do have at the library a writing development centre where you can go, and it's usually PhD students that you would meet with who would give you maybe some advice on your writing skills. But in terms of English as well, international students whose first language isn't English would need to do the university language assessment. And basically that is to assess your English level when you get here, and then extra help in terms of in-sessional English will be offered to you if you need to improve your language skills as well. But for writing skills in particular, look at what your faculty has to offer.
Yes, so there are great ways to improve your English language if you're not sure about that. In-sessional English being one of them. So this is for free. It happens once or twice a week, and you can do it, throughout the period of your study. And it's a great way to improve your English. And then we have another question, slightly different. And what is the best price value supermarket? Emma, maybe you could chip in.
So apart from Granger Market and maybe local place where you can buy fresh fruits and vegetables, the one I feel is most value for money is Tesco. And I normally, because we've got a car with my boyfriend, we normally use the one in Gateshead, which is a very big supermarket where you can find everything, and also some international products, so Chinese, Asian generally, Mediterranean, things like that. So it helps us a lot to find some feta and all these nice things that we'd like and we miss from home. But also you'll find lots of other options, for example Asda, which is also really good value for money, Sainsbury's, and different small supermarkets around the city centre. Hopefully you'll have some supermarket next to your house, because there are loads around. So feel free to just visit each one, see which products you like buying, you like eating, and pick the one you like most.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, there are lots of independent supermarkets which are based around a different country or international group, so you should be able to find any food that you're looking for here.
And we have another question that just come in from Vahid about how can I get my biometric info for registration? Alex,
okay, so the BRP, it's shortened to BRP cards, and this is something that you would get as part of your visa. I would have a look on the visa section of the website if you're having any concerns about whether it applies to you or not. There'll be plenty of information there. But what normally happens is that you would arrange to pick that up from one of the post offices in Newcastle. We have two on Northumberland Street, which is the kind of main shopping centre. The main shopping street, it's directly opposite the university, so very easy to go and pick up from there. And there is another post office in Byker, which is only a few minutes out of the city centre if you had to collect it from there. But I think it is taken, which post office you collect it from, I think is taken from the address that you've put down. So you would collect that, and then that confirms basically you have a short-term visa, and then you pick that up. That's a really important piece of identification, so we would also recommend you don't then carry it around with you while you're at university, because you would have to pay if you lose that.
And now I'm afraid it's the last question that we have time for. Several students have asked that, and it's about medical insurance. They're wondering if they have medical insurance and how do they register with a doctor. Alex?
Okay, so you will have the opportunity to register for a doctor on campus as part of registration. What I would say is if you are a member of the EU, you will need an E111 card. You don't need EHIC card, sorry. You don't need medical insurance as a separate thing. You will be covered by our National Health Service. If you're an international student and you are staying in the UK for more than 6 months, you're entitled to medical treatment, but you do need to pay a surcharge, and that's something that you do as part of the visa process. So you don't need separate health insurance. I think as well for the health surcharge, there's a charge for the whole year, but there's also a charge for a sort of 6-month period as well. So there is a slight variation in price for that. But you will be able to access all the sort of health services as a UK national, but we would still have to pay for prescription charges here. but I think you have some
Yes.
information about that.
Yes, so actually the surcharge that Alex just mentioned for international students, that is £150 per year, and you pay that as part of your visa process, and then everybody that comes here is covered by NHS. And so yeah, you get all your doctor visits and appointments for free, but when you get a prescription for medication from a doctor here, I think you always have to pay around £8 per one item on your prescription. However, my tip for students is that there is something called HC2 certificate. You can Google that. And this is a certificate provided by NHS for people who don't have any income or have very little income, and that applies to a lot of students. And if you get this certificate, you just need to fill out some paperwork, send it to NHS, and if you get that certificate, again, HC2 certificate, you can be exempt from paying for prescriptions. I got that certificate and it was great. I didn't have to pay anything for my prescriptions or my medical bills, and also you get free dental care on that certificate as well. So do Google that. And also, if you don't register for a doctor as part of your of the welcome week and through university, it is really easy. You just need to go to any chosen GP practice on your own and just bring your passport, and that's literally it. Even if you're an international student, you just bring your passport to your chosen GP practice and they register you right there and then. So it is really easy, and don't worry about it. Yeah.
I was just going to say, do it as soon as you arrive. Don't wait until you get sick.
Yeah. Right. So I think that's actually all that we have time for today. Thank you very much for joining us. And if we haven't answered any of your questions and you still have some questions that you need answering, please post them as a comment under this YouTube video, because the live chat will no longer be available after we're finished here. But the comment section is still available, so you can just comment under this video with your questions, and in the next 24 hours we will get to your questions and try to answer them the best we can. So thank you very much. I hope